The human magnet syndrome, a deep dive into the dynamics of relationships. The human magnet syndrome, Why We Love People Who Hurt Us by Ross Rosenberg, is a profound exploration of the dynamics that often govern our relationships, particularly those characterized by dysfunction and codependency. Rosenberg, a psychotherapist with extensive experience in the field, delves into the psychological patterns and unconscious motivations that lead individuals to repeatedly find themselves in unhealthy and painful relationships. This essay provides a comprehensive summary of Rosenberg's seminal work, exploring the key concepts, theories, and insights he offers. The human magnet syndrome. At the heart of Rosenberg's theory is the concept of the human magnet syndrome, which describes the phenomenon where individuals are drawn to others who complement their psychological and emotional needs, often in unhealthy ways. This attraction is likened to a magnetic pull, where individuals with opposing yet complementary dysfunctions are irresistibly drawn to each other. Rosenberg asserts that this magnetic attraction is rooted in deeply ingrained patterns of behavior and belief systems that stem from early childhood experiences. These patterns often involve a dynamic between individuals with narcissistic traits and those with codependent tendencies. Narcissists, characterized by their self-centeredness and lack of empathy, are drawn to codependents, who are typically nurturing, self-sacrificing, and overly empathetic. This dynamic creates a seemingly perfect fit, yet it is fundamentally flawed and often leads to emotional pain and suffering. Codependency, the core of the syndrome. Codependency is a central theme in Rosenberg's work. He describes codependents as individuals who derive their sense of self-worth from taking care of others, often at the expense of their own needs and well-being. This behavior is rooted in a fear of abandonment and a deep-seated belief that they are not worthy of love unless they are giving and self-sacrificing. Rosenberg outlines several characteristics of codependence, including a tendency to put others' needs before their own, difficulty in setting and maintaining boundaries, a strong need for approval and validation from others, low self-esteem, and a lack of self-identity. These traits make codependents highly susceptible to becoming involved with narcissists who exploit their need for approval and their tendency to self-sacrifice. Narcissism, the counterpart. On the opposite end of the spectrum are individuals with narcissistic traits. Narcissists are characterized by a lack of empathy, a need for admiration, and a sense of entitlement. They are often charming and charismatic, which makes them attractive to codependents seeking validation and approval. Rosenberg explains that narcissists have an inflated sense of self-importance and a deep need for admiration and attention. They often manipulate and exploit others to meet their own needs, without regard for the emotional well-being of those around them. This creates a toxic dynamic in relationships with codependents who are more than willing to give and sacrifice to keep the relationship intact. The dance of the codependent narcissist relationship. Rosenberg uses the metaphor of a dance to describe the relationship between codependents and narcissists. In this dance, each partner plays a role that complements the other's dysfunctions. The codependent leads with their giving and self-sacrificing nature, while the narcissist follows with their demands and need for attention. This dance is both predictable and destructive. The codependent's need to give and the narcissist's need to create a cycle of dependency and exploitation. The codependent feels needed and validated through their giving, while the narcissist feels powerful and important through their taking. However, this dynamic inevitably leads to emotional exhaustion and pain for the codependent, as their needs are consistently unmet and their self-worth erodes over time. The origins of codependency and narcissism. Rosenberg delves into the origins of these dysfunctional patterns, tracing them back to early childhood experiences. He explains that codependency and narcissism are often rooted in family dynamics and upbringing. For codependents, childhood is often marked by neglect, emotional unavailability, or abuse. These individuals learn to derive their self-worth from taking care of others as a way to gain approval and avoid abandonment. They become hyper-vigilant to the needs of those around them, often at the expense of their own needs and desires. Narcissists, on the other hand, may have experienced excessive pampering, indulgence, or unrealistic expectations from their caregivers. This leads to an inflated sense of self and an expectation that others should cater to their needs. Alternatively, they may have experienced neglect or abuse, leading them to develop a defensive mechanism of self-centeredness and entitlement to protect themselves from emotional pain. The path to healing. Rosenberg emphasizes that healing from the human magnet syndrome requires a deep understanding of one's own patterns and behaviors. It involves breaking free from the unconscious drives that perpetuate unhealthy relationships and developing a healthier sense of self-worth and boundaries. For codependents, this means learning to prioritize their own needs and set boundaries with others. It involves recognizing their worth outside of their ability to give and care for others and developing a strong sense of self-identity. Therapy and support groups can be invaluable in this process, providing a safe space to explore these issues and develop healthier patterns of behavior. For narcissists, the path to healing is more challenging, as it requires a willingness to confront and address deeply ingrained beliefs and behaviors. This often involves therapy to develop empathy and a more realistic sense of self. It requires a commitment to changing manipulative and exploitative behaviors and developing healthier ways of relating to others. The Human Magnet Syndrome, Why We Love People Who Hurt Us by Ross Rosenberg, is a powerful exploration of the dynamics of dysfunctional relationships. Through his insightful analysis, Rosenberg sheds light on the unconscious patterns and motivations that drive individuals to repeatedly find themselves in unhealthy relationships. By understanding these dynamics, individuals can begin to break free from the cycle of pain and develop healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Rosenberg's work is a valuable resource for anyone seeking to understand and overcome the patterns of codependency and narcissism in their relationships. It offers hope and guidance for those looking to break free from the human magnet syndrome and create a healthier, more balanced way of relating to others. Through self-awareness, therapy, and support, individuals can learn to develop a stronger sense of self-worth, set healthy boundaries, and cultivate relationships that are based on mutual respect and genuine love.